Let's freaking go.
Happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day.
Do you know the history of Boxing Day?
Does it have to do with unboxing?
Kind of.
Yeah. It's
My
not. It's not like
understanding-
fighting boxing.
No.
Yeah.
My understanding, and I haven't looked this up in a while, so I might be misremembering, is it was the day, obviously, after Christmas, especially over in England, the big stately homes, they would have had their big Christmas celebrations, tons of food, whole thing. And then the next day, they would box up maybe leftovers
Right.
or food, maybe gifts, and bring them to the villages,
Right.
to the town, to the people as a, here you go.
So they don't rise up against the.
I think it's so they don't rise up.
Aristocracy.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, see, once a year we're
Yo,
really
we're
nice
really
to you. We give
nice,
you like our
yeah.
leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. We looked up Boxing Day recipes, thinking maybe there's something that people
Only
typically
leftovers.
eat. Yeah,
It
it's
was
like
only leftovers.
How do you take your leftovers and turn them into a quiche?
Well, then we realized that
Or-
it was just hella turkey. So obviously,
Lots of turkey.
Christmas in the UK is turkey heavy.
Yeah,
For sure.
and probably around the world, we Americans,
Got to be different.
we eat turkey on Thanksgiving.
Giving.
So most people do ham or a lot of beef, a lot of variations on beef.
What you would think beef Wellington?
Yeah.
That's UK.
Yeah, that might just be like kind of a play on a roast, and you do that just for nicer meals, but not necessarily on a holiday. So,
I do like that they do roast every Sunday.
yeah. How many bland food items
Dry
can you
ass,
put on a
like,
plate together?
Under-seasoned shades of beige. Yeah.
You were so hyped to have Sunday roast, and it was like
It was a
kind
little-
of a
little
letdown.
lame, but-
I mean, having it though, trying it, doing a thing that's culturally significant to somewhere else is important.
I would say Sunday roast,
Yeah.
4 to 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
English breakfast,
Oh yeah.
I was way into.
I mean, getting up there. 8 or 9.
Maybe I'm going to say 7.5.
Okay.
It was just like, oh, what a surprise. Didn't know I cared about blood pudding, but here I am.
Yeah. It was good.
It was really good, and that was like more quintessential. The roast experience was like me.
Yeah. But happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day.
Thank you.
Speaking of, how was your day?
It was a good day. It was a day that I kind of have dubbed a Liz day,
A Liz day?
a Wizzy day.
What happens in a whizzy day?
Well, I got up and took a walk.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things to do. Had banana pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things to have. Did some computer work. A fine thing to do. Cleaned up a lot of the Christmas stuff. Just got like a home organized. Went out to the barn. Horses, favorite thing.
Yeah.
Then I played some rock and roll today.
First time in 5 weeks.
I think so.
Whoa.
The last time I touched my guitars was
My
November
fingers
16th.
are so tender, like tender to the touch.
It was fun. Yeah, we decided to
Yeah.
rehearse because we needed to.
Very
It
badly.
was just time.
We got to get the rust off.
Yeah, and it wasn't the worst. It was
No.
actually okay. I can feel my voice is definitely tired. And so it's just a matter of keeping up with it. But we actually brought our guitars home. So
We did to rehearse. and
It'll be
keep
fun
rehearsing.
to play. I get a blood blister on my middle finger.
On your picking hand.
On my picking hand. I've noticed that I'm kind of like what would maybe considered like a goofy.
Like goofy style, like
goofy style,
skateboarders? Okay, I
like
hear you.
skateboarders. Most people hold their pick with their pointer finger and their
Yeah.
thumb. I hold it with my pointer finger and my middle finger and my thumb. It probably is not good to do that, but it's just it's I guess how I started playing guitar, and no one corrected me, and I've tried changing over to just the two fingers.
Now I'm thinking about it. I never think about how I hold it.
I know, but I've noticed people, and I've noticed. You know what I've noticed more though, is where people have their blood blisters, and most people have their blood blisters.
Mine's always on the first.
on the first finger,
Yeah.
on your pointer finger.
But I play it like almost sideways
Well,
out, like a.
so I play it goofy. You just play it wonky.
I'm a wonk player for sure. I
Yeah.
like flop whole hand over,
yeah.
like completely over. And,
Yeah, which you have large enough hands to
You got
do
big
that.
hands.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
big hands. But yeah, just immediately my blood blister is back.
Well, that's good.
It was funny. We were out
like-
with some friends,
It's like calluses.
and
yeah.
I was lamenting that my calluses were almost gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have pretty big calluses on the tips of my fingers, and that my nails were really long.
Right.
And Shaz, again, we've mentioned Shaz a few times. She was like, "You're the only girl that
Who would
would
complain.
ever say that." Would complain that her calluses on her
My hands are
fingers
getting way too pretty right now.
and her
Way
nails
too
are
cute.
too long.
Yeah.
And yesterday I cut my nails in anticipation for today. I said, God damn it, I'm playing guitar tomorrow.
Right on. Well, we did it.
Can't have long nails. And it felt really good.
It felt really good. It was, sort of for a minute had to remember like, how does everything plug in? And we had sort of like 3/4 of the way set up gear, but not all the way, and some stuff had been moved around.
It is funny. I feel like every time I take a break from, especially guitar, I could say that about other things, but especially guitar, and I come back, my first like moment back with the guitar, it's always way better than I expected. Almost to the point where I'm like, damn, that sounded really good. I played really well. And then you go back a second time, and it's like, that still sounded really good and played it pretty well. Then like that third time,
it's terrible.
It's the worst
terrible.
rehearsal ever. And you're like, why do I do this?
Yeah.
Why am I torturing there are so many other things I could be doing right now, but I'm torturing myself. And then you just have to push through those moments. But it's just funny, always when you come back, I think it's the universe
really
saying
good.
like, you're still capable of doing this, like keep it up. And then the universe is like, but remember to practice.
Well, it's amazing. You can have, I think about it, live shows all the time. You have the best sound check ever.
Oh, God, yes.
And then nothing can move or change. Like you could be the first act. You could get full sound check, right?
Yeah.
You don't touch any of the gear.
No one gets on stage.
No one gets on
touches
stage.
anything.
And I understand bodies in a room change the sound, but
of course.
shouldn't the monitors be the exact same? But so you get up there and it's dog shit. It's completely terrible. And you're like,
It's so weird.
what gremlins or ghosts did this? And I think what happens is we plug everything in and we just haven't heard it in a while. And we're like, oh, that's cool. And then you come back again and for some reason it sounds completely different.
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
And there's infinite variables. Like all hobbies or anything you get into, like the minutia of the voltage and wattage and power sources and, where we rehearse in an old building.
The weather.
So the weather, if it's raining
out,
all of a sudden,
we get so much feedback.
Extra feedback. If other bands are rehearsing, then all of a
just
sudden,
how much power is being used
how much power
in
is
the
actually
space.
going in, and how it's
Yeah, but we get through it, and it's fine. There's days when I pretty much want to throw my guitar down and stomp out.
You can run a little hot.
I can. We mentioned New Year's resolutions, and I said I usually don't think about it until maybe New Year's Eve. And then I started thinking about it. And it's actually something I've been thinking about just in general in life. And it's projecting. And how easy it is. It's sort of similar to jumping to conclusions.
Like worrying about the hypotheticals, like things that are going to happen.
Worrying a lot about the hypotheticals and just projecting how the situation will end up before you've even like really approached the situation. And I know I'm really bad at it. I'm sure there are other people who feel very similarly. And I think it's a moment where acknowledging that we do it, and then I don't really know what I was about to say there, but I think just like taking a breath before reacting, before saying anything, before thinking anything. It's like if something hits you, sort of triggers you, just fucking take a breath. And then
I think people call this anxiety.
Oh, hush. Oh, hush. No, because it's not a thing that really builds and swells and continues. It's more so reactions.
Well, what causes
to
people
things.
generally to be anxious?
Yeah.
They're worried about things that haven't happened yet.
Right.
They're thinking that this bad thing's going to happen.
Right.
And it works them up.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar to what you're talking about. It's not the same, obviously, but
I've just sort of dubbed it projecting.
Right.
And I think in 2025, I'm going to take that breath every time. So if you hear me make a big sigh, I'm just taking my moment.
It's the shit, what you can control. Like whatever you can control, those are the things that you actually have power over.
Right.
And then you have to let go of the other shit.
Yeah.
So your response to a situation, your mindset on a situation, what you imagine will happen about a situation, you have power over those things.
Yeah.
And until something actually happens, then why would you let yourself, you're basically choosing to feel shitty about it.
Exactly. It's like you have full control over your emotions.
Absolutely have control over this.
At every single moment.
Absolutely.
And there are varying degrees of being able to bring yourself back
Well, and the
to
thing is, it's like, you know,
calm
I
or,
think people will immediately say, well, no, I don't.
Right.
You know, and it takes practice.
right.
It's like last time we talked about riding a bull. The first time you do it, you're going to fall the fuck off.
Right.
But if you do it a whole bunch,
Yeah.
you hang on a little longer and a
Yeah.
little longer.
Well, and I mean, just to go back to just taking that breath.
Yeah.
Your reaction will soon become to take the breath and take the moment before just projecting
Right.
and responding and reacting. It's like, nope, 1 minute, take the breath, moving forward. You still may react the same way,
Well,
but you've at least allowed yourself that moment to think for 1 second
What's
about how
fascinating
you're going
now
to react,
is,
or that you can choose how to react.
you know, a lot of people have anxiety in their workplace,
Yeah.
you know, and I feel like something that's exacerbated the situation is that, well, now you have to like wait for an email.
Yeah.
Like everybody works remote, and you have to set up meetings, and you have to set up a Zoom time, and you have to email and wait for a response. You know, so we've been dealing with loan stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just like waiting.
For sometimes one word.
I just need yes or no.
Yes or no,
Yeah.
or
Is this filled out correctly?
Right.
Whatever it is, like I just need to fucking know now.
Yeah.
So I can like decide how to feel, but I can't even
But
decide how to
before
feel.
that, you'd be in a meeting
Yeah,
asking
actually,
these
and
questions,
they would happen in
it'd
real
be,
time.
It'd be in real time. It'd be right
Yeah.
there. You wouldn't even have a minute to think differently about. You wouldn't start creating situations
Yeah.
in your head and scenarios in your head. You just be like, I
There's-
need the answer to this. They'll give it to you, and then you move forward.
Yeah. There's been a turn. You know, everybody thought remote work was going to be the answer.
Right.
You know, obviously not everybody can work remotely, but a lot of jobs were able to go remote. And I think at first there was high productivity because everybody was sort of trying to prove.
Yeah, like I can be at
I
home in
can
my sweatpants.
totally
It's
work from
great.
home.
My dog's on my lap.
And obviously there's been a dramatic decline in performance now, you know,
Yeah.
a few years into it. So there's a big push to go back, but obviously people got comfy working from home.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of shakeup in
It's a
that.
tricky situation right now. So I don't know. They're trying to turn all the big office buildings downtown into residential. And maybe hold off just a tiny bit on that.
Yeah. You have to. What's practical for downtown? What does downtown need?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I do know a lot of things. That's a laundry list. Don't get me started. But how was your day?
It was swell. You know, tattooed one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Stacy's great.
She's great.
Did a bunch of book stuff. It's, you know, I try to delve into the fandoms,
Yeah.
you know, so
There's a lot of them.
well, there's infinite, right? Like you
Yeah.
can be into anything.
Yeah.
And if it's sci-fi and fantasy, there's no end.
No, you just make it up.
You know, so I don't make it up. What I
No, that's what I'm saying.
you
Sci-fi
literally-
and fantasy,
you're-
you just
you're-
make shit up and
You're a
it's
fiction
sci-fi
writer.
and
I get
fantasy.
it. I
Yeah,
thought you were
yeah.
talking about me. I was like, I don't make it up.
No.
I was like, but no, as fiction writers,
Yeah.
yes, they literally just make shit
Yeah,
up. That's
yeah,
what you do.
yeah.
But I typically like to at least watch one episode, read a little bit from the book, whatever
Right.
I can of the
Right.
thing that people are into. I have not yet read any of Throne of Glass. Someone will tell me if this is not the
You're
right
telling
thing.
me. I don't know.
But it's very Game of Thronesy,
Okay.
you know, and it's ilk. I think it's just like more banging.
More sex.
Yes, I think it's
Okay.
romance.
They're like, we're banging, like rock and roll.
No. Right.
More
And
bang.
I'm also, maybe I'm projecting
Yeah.
right now.
Well, I don't know. Okay.
But,
Yeah.
so I have not delved into it, but I did. She sent me a very robust Pinterest board,
Oh,
and I think I was able to get
okay.
the storyline.
That's funny. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you did a tattoo about this book. is
I
what
did a
you're
tattoo
saying.
based on a character in a specific moment in the book, yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it was really fun to do, and then it got sunny out. I don't know, it was good. Also, I had not tattooed in 3 days,
Yeah.
which feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
So I was like setting up, getting back into the ritual, having a routine. You know I hate if I don't
Back
work.
on track.
So yeah,
Yep.
it was very nice to just set up, clean up, like the smells, you know, the soap and the disinfectants.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Just disinfecting.
Well, cleanliness is godliness.
Yeah, I think so. Well, good. I'm glad you're back to work because it does keep you in the right mindset.
Or I'm like terrible if not.
Yeah.
I just mope around.
Yeah, pretty mopey.
Well, I'm bad at time management.
Yeah.
I think what it is like it anchors my day. Like, okay, well, I have to get this shit done because I have to work.
Right.
You know, so like if I want to get tasks done, they need to be done before this time.
Oh, yeah.
or else they don't get done. Whereas if I have a day off, I'm just like, well, I can kind of do this.
You absolutely, you need to,
this.
I mean, I had a riding lesson today, and I was talking to my trainer, and she was just kind of struggling with the schedule for this week because everybody's off.
Right.
So she's like, it's basically like a wide open day, sort of, because the other half of the barn, you know, the other people are also there. So it's kind of a crazy day, but everyone's like, I'm available anytime. And she's like, but it's almost easier when, you know, so-and-so has to be at work until 5 and so-and-so gets out of school at 3 and you can plug them in based off that. But when it's just open-ended and everyone's like, I'm just free. It's like, oh, but where do I put everybody?
Yeah.
How do I do this? So it totally makes sense.
That's how I feel about tattooing.
Yeah.
Like when clients are like, oh, do whatever you want. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do? You know, even like longtime clients, I'm like, you know, I might suggest, you know, an eagle riding a hippo or something, and they're like, a hippo killed my mom. I can't believe you'd say that. You know, it's like, well, I don't fucking know.
Then tell me no hippos at least, and that gives me something.
And I always say like the best tattoos are collaborations.
Of course.
That they bring, you know, some sort of loose framework or words or phrases or a book. They bring anything at all.
Yeah.
And then I can riff off of that. Otherwise, I'm just like reaching in the dark.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like the most fun is when people kind of just throw words at you.
Oh, yeah.
Like these things are all meaningful and significant to me, but I have no idea how to create a visual out of it. And I mean, we talked about this a while ago, but that's sort of what AI is able to do for a lot of people who don't have the same creative mindset that you do. But it is fun when someone's just like fire, oysters, antelope. I'd really love like a tape recorder and my mom's signature. And you're
Got
like,
it.
Okay,
Easy.
let's figure this out.
Totally.
Yeah. I feel like then you just like make little collages of those images and you're like, how can I put this into a shape? Or my favorite is when clients come and they want to cover up.
Oh, yeah.
So they have an old tattoo. They're ready to be done with it for whatever reason.
Well, you know my secret.
I know the secret. Can I tell the secret?
Yeah.
The best is Matt just squints at it.
I just squint.
And it just becomes a kind of a blurry shape.
It's a Rorschach.
What?
A Rorschach.
What's that?
The Rorschach test with the blobs. Like we go to a therapist and they're like, what do you see?
Oh, that's what that's called?
It's called a Rorschach test.
Rorschach.
Rorschach was the doctor who invented it.
Oh.
So it's an ink blot smushed together.
Yeah.
And they're like,
do you see the people kissing or the
well, I don't even know if they suggest anything.
Well, I know that's what I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's like, does the person see? But I guess you just respond with whatever you see right off the bat.
I just squint and I'm like,
Rorschach.
it's a moth.
It's a moth.
It's a wolf.
Yeah.
And I just like, look, I'll turn my head sometimes. What I'll do also more lately is I'll take a picture on my iPad.
And then start drawing over
And I'll just
it.
start drawing directly over top. And as soon as I simplify the shape, I'll see like octopus. That's what I just did with Jordan. I was like, right away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
It's fun, yeah. And, it comes from like cultivating the skill set of looking at clouds and seeing images or anything like that.
In a similar vein, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, and it's sort of a Pavlov thing. But
You just made me salivate.
I know, right? But there are two very specific things that I do fairly regularly that remind me of certain situations. I'll just give you the two examples. So when we're doing our pretty much one yoga exercise, but especially when I basically get in like a cross-legged position, but like my heels are together. So like my legs are kind of like a butterfly. And then I start like rolling my neck. I always think about my best friend Maddie from high school when she and I walking down this brick road that was in our neighborhood called Forer. And it's a road that we really did not frequent very often. It just wasn't one of our like go-to streets.
How this is looping back
and
around.
Well, I don't know. Well, hold on. And so I just, every time I'm like rolling my neck, I'm in that position, I just have a flashback of Maddie and me on that road walking together, just hanging out. And then every time I tune my G-string on, especially my Rickenbacker, not so much the Firebird, but the Rickenbacker, I think about our friends Josh and Jillian and just sort of like, what are they up to? But it's like, I'm tuning the G-string. What are Josh and Jillian doing? And so it's like, what is it? The only thing I can think about with the string is that we had that guitar fixed by a guy. He owns the German Village Music House, and it's on the corner of Grant and Mound or something. And they lived on Grant,
Very close to there.
fairly close, but not really. And that happened well before we met
knew
them.
them,
I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, what is it about doing those things that is reminding me of those things always? I never think about anything else when those two things are happening.
I have no idea. I was trying to like
I don't know. It's
find
weird.
the association.
Do you have anything like that?
No, not at all. I'm trying to think of
Oh.
like
Oh, it's like a loose wire.
no,
Or two.
not at all. I'm trying to think of
I'm just thinking about, like, when-
there's no physical action that I do often, which
Yeah.
the yoga we do often, tuning guitars, I do all the time. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of like, when I'm setting up or when it's stuff that I do every day. And if I tend to think about the same things,
Yeah.
and I can't at all.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a million different things every moment, every day, like as
Yeah.
much shit as possible from.
I don't know. If anyone's a therapist out there or a psycho something,
Well, obviously there's a direct association. I think Pavlov's
Yeah.
right,
like the guitar tuning one makes a little more sense. I can connect the dots a little bit more. This yoga pose
Well, I
and
thought you
thinking
were
about a high school, like,
I was waiting for you to say, and then Maddie and I did yoga in the park.
No,
or something
no,
like
it's nothing like
There
that.
would have been an action.
it's
yeah.
not. I truly, unless maybe the first time I did that yoga pose, I for some reason thought about that to the point almost where I
Right.
feel like the memory might have been a dream. It's not even a real memory. We
Right.
have walked down that road, but am I
Well, I think we'll
remembering
see Maddie
a dream?
tomorrow,
We'll
right?
see Maddie tomorrow. and
Well,
I'm
yeah.
definitely going to tell her. But anyway, just wanted to bring that fun little fact up about my
It's
brain.
also you associate days of the weeks with colors,
Absolutely.
which I had never heard anybody.
Numbers have colors too. Numbers have genders.
right.
Yeah, I feel like a
that's-
lot of people have things like that.
In linguistics, no,
Yeah.
gender with
Yeah.
words is very common.
Yeah.
So I less about the gender, more the color with days of the week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Monday's red. Tuesday's orange.
I guess the cure, they say.
Yeah.
What is it? Monday's blue and whatever.
Tuesday's gray and Wednesday too.
Too, yeah.
Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday.
I'm in love.
I'm in love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
that's more about the weather.
Exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of people have a lot of associations like that. I think that's fairly
Go ahead
normal.
and comment with what colors you think
Yeah,
the
is
days
the day of the
week.
week. Absolutely. I think that stuff is so fascinating.
Of course.
And-
where does that come from in your brain? Some people dream in colors, some people do
Is
not.
the brain similar to, like, we know more about space than we do the oceans? Do we know, like, more about something insane than we do, like, our own brains?
I think we know so little about the brain.
I think
Every
so, too.
time. I mean, that's why everyone's always surprised when someone gets some sort of brain damage and they're fine.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, we thought that part of the brain was vital, and it turns out that your brain can use the other parts or overcompensate,
Yeah.
or yeah, it's fascinating. I'm supposed to make sure I tell people we're drinking tonight. I'm drinking Talisker single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 10 years.
Nice.
Ru-
I'm drinking lime sparkling water that's naturally essenced.
Right, essenced.
I'm drinking a LaCroix.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's delicious. Well, I mean, no, LaCroix is not delicious.
It's very little flavor.
It's essence of flavor.
It's essenced.
And it's something when it's freshly opened and it's crispy, it has a nice little something to it.
I never consumed soda waters, seltzers at
Yeah.
all
Me neither.
until, well, you started doing it before I did.
Yeah, but not very long before, and I don't
Yeah.
even know why I did,
Now I'm like
to be
a-
honest.
2 seltzer a day,
Yeah.
maybe
It's
3.
an easy way to drink water. I'm sure drinking out of an aluminum can is not good for you.
Oh my God, it's got to be bad. They
But
say that, I mean,
everything's bad for you.
it's so funny, like, they claim that it hydrates you just as well as water,
Yeah.
but for some reason I never feel as hydrated. And
Oh, I don't know.
now they're trying to say coffee is actually more hydrating than they originally thought, which I'm into.
Yeah, and it'll also make you shaky and
Oh, yeah.
mess up your bowels.
But it just makes you feel better about
Yeah.
drinking
I
coffee
drink a lot of
every
that
day.
too. So between my soda water, I mean, one of my favorite things to order at a restaurant is, especially if it's breakfast or lunch, is a coffee and a club soda.
Yeah.
And separately.
Right.
There are like espresso drinks that have soda water in them. Not a fan.
Those have gotten more
But there's
popular.
something about like the smoothness of the coffee and the bubbliness of the club soda. Oh, so good.
You totally get it.
So good. But enjoying my LaCroix.
I respect that. Let's see. We're thinking about rearranging our whole life.
Not our whole life. We're rearranging our apartment.
We've pretty much had it arranged like this for 6 years.
Yeah. Which, when we moved in, pretty much had the vision right away.
Right.
And haven't changed it, kind of thinking it's perfectly laid out.
But we live in a loft.
Well, it's one big room,
one
so
big
really
ass
you can
room.
do whatever the fuck you want
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, there's no
and
rules.
I think for the first time in over 6 years, our creative juices are flowing. I always have like an interior design desire.
Right.
Just to kind of mess around and play with things. And this might be a big one. So I'm not even going to go into details, but
yeah,
it might be on the story when it happens.
I think it's good.
Kind of, I mean, it'll feel like a spring cleaning. Well, the plan is to clean up Christmas.
Right. So
Get
this will
that
probably
stuff
be
put away.
Guys, this will be the last view of our tree.
Yeah, a little tree, little buddy.
But I think it's good for you mentally to every now and then rearrange, so you don't get stagnant in your routine in your life. Routine is good.
A brain exercise.
Yeah,
if you
but
have
also-
to reroute yourself and the way you move about your space, you're exercising your brain.
I think routine is
Extremely,
good,
yeah.
but people get crisis-y, right? They want to buy a bunch of new shit, or they feel like they need to redo stuff in their life
Right.
because they're unhappy. And sometimes changing, if you're unhappy in your life, like a move is always good, right? You feel like a fresh start. And I think it doesn't have to be a dramatic move. I think rearranging
Yeah.
our living space,
Yeah.
it'll kind of revitalize us.
There's a fine line though, because I think a lot of people do think by just physically moving, or
You have to have intention.
you have to have intention, and at the end of the day, you have to be willing to have a paradigm shift, and that's all in your mind.
Right.
And so that has to be part of it. You can't just physically change, physically move,
course.
and expect
Right. You can't expect you to change.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it is a nice catalyst for then surveying your mind and figuring out what
Yeah.
else needs to change.
Well, I think, if there are habits or something you're
Yeah.
trying to change.
Yeah, and I feel like habits, it's like if your physical space is the same, you're more likely to do whatever those habits are, because nothing else is
There was
kind of
research that,
taking you away from it.
in Vietnam, it was some huge number, like 70% of military, like Marines in Vietnam, got addicted to opiates while they were over
Right,
there.
yeah.
But you're in a terrible situation, and you're surrounded by the drug itself
Right.
everywhere, and everybody's fucking doing it. But we've always associated that drug use was like a disease,
Yeah.
Almost all of those same vets, not all of them, but the vast majority, as soon as they came back to the States, didn't have a drug problem at all.
Oh, interesting. So you do take yourself out of the environment.
You take yourself out of the environment, and
You're
then
less likely
you're
to-
dramatically less. That's why most people relapse. Like, you go to a center,
And then you go home.
and then you go home to the same situation.
Yeah.
Right? And you're around in that environment, and
Yeah.
it immediately triggers the response again for you to do the drugs.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So sometimes a move,
Yeah,
in that sort of sense,
absolutely.
But it
And
doesn't
I
have to
do
be
get
as
that.
intense as doing heroin. It could be
Right.
anything, toxic relationships,
Of course.
things that just like make you uncomfortable, and it gives you access to the ability to overcome it.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cool trend. I don't know if I'd call it a trend, but I've heard of a few people doing it. Going back to working remotely, people who can work remotely and want to move
Mm-hmm.
are kind of doing these like month-long city tryouts.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah.
So I know one person who's done it, of another person who's done it, and
think it's a
of
great idea.
person who wants to do it. And you rent an Airbnb, so maybe for, I think a month is probably a nice amount of time, because you have enough time to really explore the city, kind of meet some people, see what the vibe is like, but just do it for 6 months or something. Pick 6 cities, 5 cities, whatever, and just go and live.
Oh my
Put your
God,
stuff
yeah.
in storage, but you're working the whole time because
Yeah.
you can work remotely. And I'm like, damn, that's so cool.
It's so cool.
I would love
What a
to
great
do that.
opportunity. Yeah.
What a great opportunity. Now, like I said, you have to have a job. that allows
yeah.
you to work remotely.
You have to like not have
or
rent or excess
savings
income
or
saving.
something. Yeah, something that's allowing you to do it and to experience the city the way you would if you lived there.
Right. You
So
don't
it's
want to
one
show
thing
up and have no money at all because
Exactly. So yeah, what does that entail, and how do you do it? But I think it's really cool. So the one person I know that did it, I don't know where they ended up, but I've seen them back here. So I'm like, did they go other places? And then we're like, you know what? Screw it. I'm staying in Columbus. Maybe. That's cool. You come back. Well, okay.
a new appreciation.
I mean, something that we say all the time. We love when people come to visit us because it allows us to look at our city through someone else's perspective. Anybody would say that. But I really always do feel a newer and greater appreciation for where I live when someone visits me.
Well, it's great because our city's actually cool.
Well, of course. but I think it's just like, I don't know, just
I get so hyped. And
it's
like
cool.
Every time like people are impressed and surprised, which living in Columbus, Ohio, it's easy to do because outside of Columbus, people don't realize that there is shit going on.
Everyone comes into Columbus just thinking like
Cornfield. That's it.
It's like a tiny city with like a football team.
Yeah.
Cornfield.
Yeah, and that's what people have said. And then we take them around the city and they freak out.
Everyone's like, it's like a real city. And we're like,
yeah,
and it has been for a long time.
Yeah. No, it's very fun. But I do, and I know a lot of people do this too, but as we travel, we're always like, we could live here. Every single place we go to.
Everywhere I go.
We're always like, we could live
There's
here.
only a few places that I've been where I was like, I don't need to really come back here. I would. And it also depends on the people you're with.
Absolutely.
Who lives in those cities. But, oh my God, yeah. I mean, there are moments where I'm like, I'm a mountain girl.
Yeah.
I'm just all about the mountains. They're so majestic. They're so
the air's so
fascinating.
good. Yeah.
The air is so good. And then there's days where I'm like, the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the desert.
I know. That's where I want to be.
I know. Well, maybe one day.
Well, own something in the desert.
That's the dream. You have a place everywhere. So that you can just go to these places.
I do love Columbus.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I'm not done with it yet.
Me too. I think it's good. But it is fun and I think it's like, I don't know if a lot of people feel as enthralled with places when they visit, or if we just get like hyperly fixated on where we are anywhere, or what the deal is.
We don't do anything special. I know most people do this, but ask the locals, where do they go?
Pop up to the bar.
Pop up to the bar.
Bartender.
Immediately go to the bar, talk to the bartenders, interact, see the recommendations that they give, But then also an openness, to sort of like, we like half book our trips,
Right. Make sure you have somewhere to stay.
Make sure you have somewhere to stay, but then also like, don't make your plans so tight
that you have no room for
adventure,
for organic movement
Let
about the space.
All of a sudden,
what's the thing called that? It's the where we found the Whitmawatma Gate.
Atlas Obscura.
Yeah.
Highly recommend, and that they have it for every single city in the world.
Well,
you just type in a place.
If you just, now it's a website. They've also made books about it, but it's go to Atlas Obscura, probably .com or something, and type in where you're going, and it'll show you a list of just quirky things about that city and things to find. When we were in York, they were like, there's all these black cat statues just around the entire city, but like up on chimneys and in alleyways, and like, see how many you can find.
Yeah.
And the shortest street in England called the Whitmawatma Gate, and just weird, funny little things.
Yeah.
And I think people just submit them for every single city.
Here's things to see that aren't just the generic tourist things.
Right. And it's fun. And it also forces you to then venture to other parts of the city or the town that you wouldn't necessarily go based on regular tourist attractions.
Right.
It'll be like, yeah, there's this cool thing, but you got to go down this road, turn down that alley, go down this hill, follow the trail, boom, ferries.
Yeah, always ferries.
Lots of ferries.
Always ferries. I remember going to see Where the Music Died.
Right.
In Iowa.
Yeah.
I feel like it's near Iowa City. I can't remember exactly now, but it was definitely a situation where the plane with Buddy Holly had crashed in the middle of a field. But now there is a little memorial to him, but you have to go, like, you get off the highway, then onto like a state route, then onto a dirt road, you know, and there's not really any signage or anything until you get to the edge of a cornfield. And then there's
Walk through here.
yeah, well then there's not even any signage. There's just a big cement monument and it's Buddy Holly's glasses. Like
really?
Gigantic.
Oh,
and it's at the edge of the
interesting.
field.
Yeah.
And then you walk and it's still a functioning farm. There's still
Oh,
like
wow.
so like there's super tall, maybe it was grain. I can't but it was I just
Yeah.
remember it was really tall, but they leave this path through the field that they
So
like
people can go.
so people can go, and still to this day people like leave shit and there's just like a pile and there's not really there's like
What do most people leave?
a lot of guitar picks, glasses,
Yeah.
you know, music memorabilias and things. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I feel like people left tapes and
Did
CDs.
you guys leave anything?
I feel like we must have. You know, I can't remember exactly now.
Probably like, here's our CD. Someone's gonna listen to it. We're gonna become famous.
I don't think we did that at all.
Everybody has done that. Everybody's dropped a CD somewhere, hoping that somebody finds it.
But
and
not at the Buddy Holly.
I don't know. You never
memorial.
know
No, you
what
get-
weirdos. I don't know.
You leave like something respectful there. You know, you leave the CD.
Your
for
music is
someone-
not respectful.
I know exactly. No, you leave that shit at used record stores coast to coast. You know, you
The
just
Rock Hall.
Well, the Rock Hall. Well, absolutely. I think they still do it to this day. They did a few years ago, but if you're a band on tour, you can drop off your music and then you get a free pass
Into
to the Rock Hall. You
to
have
the
to
Rock Hall.
you have to give them some sort of music,
Yeah, a CD, vinyl.
which is probably harder now because most
No one
people
prints anything.
physical copies.
Be
But,
like, here's my USB drive.
Yeah, but-
Which even that, nobody
but I
has
think
real.
that's genius for them, and that really is like they're supporting music by
Absolutely.
letting young musicians in for free.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but then every now and then I'm sure someone dropped off a CD or something early and they hit it big later.
Probably.
Like I'd be interested to see who has done that.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. The Rock Hall's pretty amazing.
It's an incredible. I mean, the architecture is wild.
Yeah.
So just the way that the building looks is
Freaking
amazing.
pyramid,
And
yeah.
then they do a really good job of telling the story of rock history in a way that makes you appreciate
Yes.
where it's come. And I love that the phrase rock and roll was coined in Cleveland. That's why it has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I don't know the history of it.
It was I can't remember his name, a DJ in I believe the 1960s, and he was the first one to say rock and roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder why.
I used to know the whole story. but
Yeah.
I'm blanking on it now.
No, stay tuned. We'll relearn it.
But it would have been even like pre-Elvis. So
Yeah, that's what I
maybe
was
the
thinking,
might
yeah.
have been the 1950s. Yeah, because what? Rock and roll music.
Well, now it's
yeah.
rock in roll.
Rock and roll.
There's no and.
Yeah.
It's apostrophe N. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
R and F and R.
Till I die.
Do I die? I'm back in. I'm rocking out. I'm
Well, it'll be
feeling
fun. I'm looking forward to starting to rehearse again on the reg. Play a couple of shows.
Yeah. Playing shows is the only way to keep up with it. One, you're obviously honing the craft on stage, and that's ultimately where you're going to be doing it. But just the energy,
You feed off the people.
you just feed off the people. You feed off. It's different. There's one thing to rehearse really, really well, and there's one thing to play a show.
I'm always surprised when people say, like, which the Gaslight Anthem is a band that I've seen say this before, where they're like, well, we way prefer the studio. It's like, I love the studio. I really enjoy it. I know
Yeah.
you don't as much, but I like,
I'm learning to love it. I appreciate it.
I eat it up, and I love experimenting, but it's still not as cool as playing a show.
It's not. Playing the show is the cool part. And why do you play, well, I shouldn't say that. Why do you play rock and roll? To be cool. Let's be fucking real.
Or,
if you just loved music,
yeah.
you would learn like intricate jazz. If you're playing rock and roll, you want to be cool. And unashamed.
Yeah. I would say some people, Resistance, Rage Against the Machine, punk rock, what are people?
Yeah, and they think they're fucking cool. And they are.
I think that for some people, they start out trying to rebel.
But girls think you're cool.
Not always.
Most of them do.
Not if you're not successful.
Well, there is that. But you want to be cool. Even if you're not successful at it.
I'm saying
You
I
still
do
do it to want
I
to
do,
be cool.
but I don't think that's probably the majority of people,
Yeah.
right? That's the Steve Martin joke.
Yeah. Oh,
the
it's
banjo,
a good one.
where
Yeah.
it's just like, what's the difference between a banjo and guitar? And he goes through all the parts of the banjo. He's like, well, a banjo has the snare drum and it has these steel tuning pegs and it's open tuned G to G. And he's like, and a guitar will get you laid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pick up the guitar to play rock and roll because you're trying to pick up chicks or
To be
dudes
cool.
or whatever it is to be fucking cool. But I would say that there's people who start playing rebellious music to rebel, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
That you're going to try and like, maybe you're in a oppressed state or something, Punk rock bands coming out of Russia or China have a different energy, and they're doing it because it's outlawed or
well,
illegal.
and those, I guess, okay, yeah, I do take back some of what I said. The cool comes out of
the cool. Why is
genuine?
Why is it cool?
Because you're doing it for a reason and you're doing it well. I bet Bob Dylan did not start writing his songs
We could go see the movie.
and recording to be cool. He wanted to get messages out there.
Yeah.
He wanted to rebel against.
Well, and what the real thing is, what is cool? How do you be cool?
I know.
Well, you're confident.
You're confident. You're genuine.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people try to do rock and roll, and if they do it because they want to be cool,
You're not cool.
you're not fucking cool.
Yeah.
So you can't go in with the intention of being cool.
Being cool.
You
Yeah.
have to be completely honest.
That's all right. Take back a lot of what I said because getting to the same point, but I agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah. It's just really hard being this cool.
I think it's easy because we don't think about it.
I think a lot about it. I think a lot about playing guitar.
I never do. I mean, obviously, like I think about my appearance, which but more of a health, wellness, trust, like first impressions. Why do we judge people by what they look like? Well,
Right.
I think we've evolved to look at someone's health
Yeah.
as a sign of safety. And
Yeah.
do I want to be around this person? Are they
going to protect me? Are they going to survive whatever we
are they
have
making
to do?
smart decisions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they prone to bad decisions? And your physical appearance, whether you like it or not, projects an image or a message. Same
Yeah.
thing with like being super punk fucking rock,
Yeah.
or being in a biker gang, and like you wear these uniforms
Yeah.
and they project a message you're trying to say. That's a big thing about tattoos, right? You've
Oh, yeah.
decided to project a message, a permanent change to your physical appearance. And I think that there's nothing wrong with cultivating an image,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing the dress of what you want to be associated with, right?
Yeah.
Wear the clothes for the jobs you want.
Yeah. Exactly.
thing. The language of clothing. Going back to my New Year's resolution.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, yeah, that's a whole thing to tackle, but why do I want to be blonde? My hair is dark brown.
You love it. You
But I
love
love
being blonde.
it. I love
When
it.
I met you, you had black hair with bangs.
Which also wasn't natural, but I don't have blonde hair anymore.
Yeah.
I saw something. I can't remember. I'm not going to be able to word it correctly, but it was like, there's nothing stronger. There's like no stronger will than that of a girl who was blonde growing up, but is now like brunette, but still claims to be blonde or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, because there's so many of us. We were all dirty blonde growing up, and now my hair is like this mousy color, so I dye it blonde because
Yeah.
I'm still a blonde. And
Oh,
it's like,
no, I know.
I ask my stylist every time, I'm like, do I have any blonde in my hair anymore? He's like, no, you have dark brown hair. I'm like, okay.
I think Louis is just lying
Keep
to
saying
me.
blonde.
I ask, am I balding every time? And Louis is always like, no, you have so much hair. And I'm like, bro, don't lie to me, man.
I won't lie to you,
I know, thank you.
but I think your spot's still okay.
Sometimes I see like a photo and I'm like headbanging,
Yeah.
But I'm like sweaty, so.
Yeah, it's being parted.
Right.
Right. Do you think you'll go bald?
I don't know. Will you like me if I just shave my head?
Let's not get there yet. Well, another interesting thing about appearances, and I heard this, I don't know if it's true, I think we've talked about it. Men, I guess we're talking maybe about like a heterosexual relationship, but men, or maybe it's just relationships in general. Men tend to remember their partners. Like if you're thinking about your partner,
Yeah.
as when they first met them. So if someone says, "Oh, how's Liz?" and you happen to picture me in your mind,
Which I do all the time.
it's with my dark hair and my bangs.
Typically, yeah.
Women tend to remember their partners or think about their partners as they are now. So when someone says, "How's Matt?" I think of you
Old man in a sweater.
kind of as an old man in a sweater. But I don't think of you as Matt with the blonde mullet,
Right. Dangly earring.
dangly earring
Yeah.
at all. Would you agree to that?
Oh, yeah,
do you-
100%.
Is that how you
yeah,
think
I feel like
of
we
me?
were riffing about it the other night.
Yeah.
Maybe not the bangs anymore, but
Dark hair.
Dark hair. I always instantly see the green skirt.
The green skirt.
Yeah,
Yep.
every single time.
Yep. That green skirt.
That's my
Still
Wizzy.
have it.
Yeah.
Still have it.
It's so bright.
Well, it's neon green.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bright. I wore it to a show a couple years ago. Still, I think I even cut it shorter. I was like, let's do it. I'm already married.
Well, I think you found sort of the perfect show fit, which is like a tennis skirt with a skirt.
Just a skirt.
It's just a skirt,
Just,
I guess. Just
I mean,
a skirt.
yeah, or a skirt with shorts or whatever.
But then you don't have to worry about
Game changer.
underwear or anything.
I can high kick. I can
You
squat.
can do it all.
I can do.
You can flip.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but I'll work on my guitar tricks.
Yeah.
But no, it's wonderful. I can move about the stage. One of the biggest things is we set up all of our own gear.
Right.
So I'm having
You
to
bend
bend
in,
over
yeah.
and move things and all this stuff. I like playing in a skirt. I like to twirl around in the skirt, but I also like having shorts underneath. And
Yeah.
especially when they're all connected.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like I
that's-
don't even
yeah.
have to like
It's the
deal with
best.
having shorts and then a skirt. It's like, no, I can just
Yeah.
twirl around. I feel it's good.
No, I think it makes you more adventurous.
Oh yeah, you feel free.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do anything. It's like a dress with pockets.
Yeah.
Which has been the ongoing joke since they started putting, which I mean, I don't know.
Prairie dresses. I bet there were some.
Or
like,
were they aprons? I feel like they would wear aprons over their
Yeah,
petticoats, and those had the
pockets.
pockets or a pocket, but then dresses with pockets. I think it was a 2000s thing. Because every girl started going,
We'll look into it.
I like your dress. Thanks, it has pockets.
Well, I think the funniest thing that women have to do is completely get naked in the bathroom when
Rompers.
you're wearing a romper.
Jumpsuits.
So you're wearing a jumpsuit or a romper.
Because you're not wearing a
situation.
bra with that, that's for sure.
No.
Probably
So-
not wearing undies either.
So you're just like you're in a like grimy bar or a club.
Yeah.
Just and you just have to like get
And you're
completely.
like, you feel like Gollum.
Yeah.
You're like on a toilet, like trying to kind of hide
When
your
you're-
boobs.
and you
just
wanna,
like,
like-
and you're cold.
and you
you're
don't
just,
want
like,
your
anything
whole
to
fit
touch.
touch.
So
Yeah,
you're like
yeah,
holding
holding
it up,
it.
and all of a sudden you're hunched over, and you're like, my precious. Someone looks in, and you're actually Gollum. And you're like, I'll be back in a second. I gotta get my jumpsuit
Yeah,
back on.
yeah.
Come out, you're totally fine. But for a minute, you're Gollum.
It's a very hilarious thing that so many women have to do. And then
We
you
choose to do
Well,
it.
you choose to. You think the fit's cute, and maybe you're
Of
not.
course you do.
Now you're not thinking about.
Beauty knows no pain.
You're not thinking about getting naked in that dive bar at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, and here you are.
If it's 3 a.m. and you're getting naked at the dive bar,
Okay, yeah.
you're not thinking about much.
Well,
Yeah. On that
I
note,
think on that note,
on that Gollum note,
on that Gollum in a naked bathroom sitch.
yeah, I think it's a good way to end this Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day.